Tom, guess what?
Oh, what's up, Pat?
I got terrible news.
Oh, is everything okay?
Well, I'm afraid not, Tom. And let me tell you why. Well, I guess I might as well just come out and say it. Brace yourself. You are trapped on a desert island.
Oh,
Yeah, man. But you knew about it beforehand, which is, I guess, a little better. And you have filled a trunk with VHS tapes and albums and books, 5 of each.
Oh,
because you were like, okay, I'm being, this is where I'm going to be until further notice. And you also brought survival tools, 5 of those. They're in this thing. And I'd like to know what the f***'s in that case, Tom.
Well, I got to level with you, Pat. I thought we had 5 total items, not 5 of each thing. So,
well, let's iron this out. Let's iron this out, the parameters of what's going on here. And
okay.
Yeah, I guess we might as well start the show.
All right, let's do it.
Welcome to Reminiscent. I'm Pat.
I'm Tom.
We're going to do the Desert Island episode today. I was watching The Office, just a random episode recently, and the one where Ryan starts the fire and Jim is trying to keep all the people happy by they play Desert Island. You know, what are your top 5 Desert Island albums, books, top 5 movies, things like that. And then Dwight Schrute takes it literally, and he wants to be able to go over what he's allowed to bring to survive, like a space blanket and things like that. And then you and I were texting about what we were going to do tonight, and we figured why might as well let everyone know what our zombie apocalypse plans are as well. So I think we're going to do a couple different versions of the game.
Okay.
Just because this is something that certainly needs delving into.
These are the important issues of the day.
Yeah.
It's been a slow news day, and you know how we like to cover very timely, topical news on this show. We are very up to date, me especially. Not much happened today, so we're going to do this stupid little game.
Well, that's a pretty rotten attitude, Tom. And
actually, the Riverside Inn in our hometown of Erie, Pennsylvania, did burn to the ground today, so it wasn't actually a very slow news day, right?
Yeah. I was kind of wondering where this slow news day stuff was coming from. I was like, Tom must have had a rough day or something.
Ooh, it was indeed, but we don't have to get into it. I don't think I've ever even heard of the Riverside Inn, so I was not affected by this news.
And did they have wings or something? Anyway, always sad when fires happen, I guess. Unless it's a prescribed burn for a wooded area that has too much wooded fuel in it. But yeah, do you want to knock music out? Just because that's usually our topic, and we could probably get that out of the way first. Now, it's interesting because these could be some people look at this differently. It's 5 greatest albums, or is it 5 that cover a lot of genres, so you could, in theory, in eternity on this island, be entertained by these 5?
Right.
I could see an argument for both lists, but I'll let you answer with which in a manner in which you feel appropriate.
Okay. Well, again, I wasn't really prepared for. I thought we were gonna do like one book, one movie.
Oh, okay.
One tool.
Let me hear that. Let me hear that list. Okay, we'll save that for later.
It's okay.
We'll tease ahead. We'll do like 6 versions of this game.
Well, we've got like 90 minutes to fill, so
we don't have to do anything. We could end the episode right now.
All right. See you guys next week.
Peace.
Just kidding. We're back. So I've thought about the my 5 top albums for a while now, and I think I have. Gosh, see, it's hard because I feel like I have the 3 that I know are there, like permanently solidified. But
all
then
right.
When I start thinking about that, then it kind of turns into like 6 because I don't want to leave one out, you know? But you know my number one right out of the gate, right?
Enema?
Yes. Blink-182's, what is it, 2001 Enema of the State? I think it's actually 2000.
It's probably their best.
It's the best album of all time, inarguably. Objectively, best album of all time.
Okay.
So, yeah, that album totally shaped the entire course of my life. I would be a totally different person if I didn't hear the song All the Small Things. And that sounds like really dramatic and kind of crazy, but if you've listened this far, you know. But if not, I heard that song for the first time when I was like 10, and I was kind of fumbling my way through trying to play every sport because I figured that's what kids my age do. And when I heard All the Small Things, sneaking into my sister's room, going through her friends' CDs, I realized I wanted to be a musician, and that's pretty much all I cared about, like for, the rest of the time. So that's obviously number one.
What are the other two in the top three? I mean,
well, I guess I'll do this in no specific order.
well, like what? Yeah, just what are
right.
if it's the top three, it's the top three. I'm just curious.
Right. I know that Rookie of the Year's The Goodnight Moon is in there as well. I think that would be number 3.
Okay.
It's a really good album. It just takes me away, man. God, I feel like I'm blanking out now. I'm so taken aback. This might just be a recency bias, but I think Moose Blood's Blush, if I'm going to spend the rest of my life on an island, that album gets me going.
Any Angels and Airwaves for you?
I was thinking their first album.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because that's another album that really, really did kind of mean a lot. But I don't know.
If I had to guess for you, would there be a Death Cab or a Postal Service situation in there for you?
There would not be, but I think Taking Back Sundays Where You Want to Be would be on there. I know Tell All Your Friends is always the number one album for literally everyone except me.
Well, the Where You Want to Be is a lot cleaner, and there's a lot. It's just that's fucking tough, dude. Because you got the truthers that are like, yeah, but Tell All Your Friends is, that's the fucking raw. That's Taking Back Sunday.
Last summer,
and it's almost like people are upset that they made another album that sounded cleaner and had a better recording quality and was just, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's a tough one. I could see both arguments, but I can also understand why you'd want the cleaner one on the desert island. Although some of those Where You Tell All Your Friends tracks hit pretty fucking hard.
Oh, dude, they're super good. I mean,
but then again, it gets a little whiny and drags on a little bit towards the end. Like Where You Want to Be comes to a very logical end in a very big way. It's just front to back makes sense. It like progresses well.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you get to the end, you have 180 by Summer, Little Devotional, which is like, I think one of their best songs.
I used to start the album at Fred Astaire and just listen to the second half because it all makes so much sense.
That was my AIM screen name for a long time.
It was, yeah.
I am Fred Astaire 1104. It was also my college email. I don't know how that happened, but never checked that thing.
So let's run through the 5 again.
Well, I think I only got 4 so far. So I have Blink-182's Enema of the State. I have Moose Blood's Blush. I have Rookie of the Year's The Goodnight Moon. I have Taking Back Sundays Where You Want to Be. And dude, 5th one. See, this is hard because I feel like it could go a lot of ways.
You're sticking to a pretty. Do you want to switch up genres at all? Or, I mean, I know you're a pop punk is not dead hashtagger, but
right.
I'm just curious.
See, because I kind of want to throw the stories so far's What You Don't See in there, but I am thinking maybe I want the Hoteliers It Never Goes Out. Still both pop punk, but I think in that case, number 5, I'm gonna go the Hoteliers It Never Goes Out. This is with about zero thought beforehand. I'm probably going to be kicking myself next week for wanting to switch things around, but right now, set in stone, those are my 5.
Okay.
Exclusively pop punk, I'm sorry.
You heard it here first, folks. Okay, so I'm going to say Weezer Blue. Get that out of the way right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to say... This is tough because I want to play the genre game a little bit. But I got to say Weezer Blue, and I got to say Hold Steady, Boys and Girls in America, and I want to say Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. Those would probably be my core three. Okay. And I hate to disrespect Motion City and the Killers, which would be... I would probably want to put Hot Fuss and...
Wow.
Come on, what's the one with the resolution on it? Motion City.
Is that the first album? In the movie, Even If It Kills Me?
Even If It Kills Me, I think.
Okay.
Those would be my similar genre 5. But outside of the core 3, I might have to go... I want to do Kanye's Dark Twisted Fantasy, or maybe... Oh, that's tough, man. Just to get a little bit of hip-hop in there. Just because it is a genre I enjoy very much. Do
you need a little bit of hip-hop, though? Is that something...
Yeah, because I feel like every day for the rest of my life, there's going to be Saturdays where I'm not like, God, okay, like enough Bruce. Like, it's possible to have too much Bruce. You know what I mean? It's possible to have too much, I don't know. Yeah, I would need it. So I'm gonna say Dark Twisted Fantasy, which is it's an album I like front to back. Part of me wants, this is going to sound weird, but, something Blues Brothers-y. That's one of the records I always keep on deck. But I want to have a little metal almost, because I'm realizing how much I really liked Coheed and Cambria's In Keeping Secrets and Silent Earth.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes you just want to get after it in that sense.
I find your definition of metal different than mine. Which I think is nice,
I don't usually dabble. Coheed might not be metal. I don't know. Well, it's probably the hardest stuff I can get away with enjoying.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I guess I'm not looking to test those boundaries ever. But just to save you all from rambling, Weezer Blue, Bruce Born to Run, Hold Steady, Boys and Girls in America. Oh, fudge. Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye. And, that's tough, Tom. Why do we do this to ourselves?
How many spins have you given Coheed in the past 5 years?
I do it once a month at work, probably.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's more than I. So
I'm going to say Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth. Just because it's so crazy. No. But part of me wants, like, Wide Open Spaces or Fly by the Dixie Chicks. Part of me wants...
Yes, dude.
Part of me wants... No, you know what? I take it all back. No Coheed. I'm going to go Taylor Swift's Red, Kanye, Dark Twisted Fantasy, and then the Weezer Bruce, whatever the other band I said.
Wow. So let's recap. Let's recap for the people listening at home. Coheed and Cambria just got subbed out for Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Red is such a good album. I'm not even going to sit here and pretend. I'm not doing this for anything other than the fact that I actually loved that album. And it came out after like a pretty harsh breakup. I was all about Red, front to back.
I need to give it a listen. I don't think I've ever listened to anything other than the top 40, Taylor Swift songs.
It hits, man. There's a lot of songs that just fucking hit, man, on that album. Really good. It was like she exploded after that, right? She was so. I mean, that was. She was already huge, but anyway. Yeah, those would be my music, I guess. Which brings us to movies.
And before we move on, I just want to bring a little follow up from last week's episode, where, and I talked about it with Megan because. So you said that you thought Story So Far was about as generic pop punk as it gets. And I thought it was... I think you called it cookie cutter.
Yeah, cookie cutter pop punk for the 20th or the 21st century.
I want to violently disagree with you.
Okay.
I've given recommendations multiple in the past, that I think, as someone who, not exclusively,
is Megan
but
mad at me?
Huh?
Is Megan upset with me?
No.
Oh.
But as someone who, like, that's kind of the realm they exist in.
Yeah, that is certainly where. Yeah.
Personally, I think even though they are pop punk, they have something unique that my perception of the generic pop punk, like Neck Deep or Knuckle Puck or Real Friends, like they have something that they don't have, and I think a lot of it is actually a much slower tempo, which I find interesting. So I just wanted to say that. I've been thinking about that all week.
Okay. No, you're the pro. You're the pro. I'll give you that. Last week, all those listening, you can go download. It's more of me and Tom just disagreeing with each other about music for an hour. We actually probably do the same episode every week, and at the end of it, we just end up talking about music and yelling at each other. But movies. Let's keep this train rolling.
Okay.
And so, why are we on the island? Let's explore that a little bit. Is it plane crash? Some kind of sickness outbreak, and we've quarantined ourselves? We've decided we're alone, right? It's a castaway situation. There's no loved ones. There's no friends on the island. It's just us existing with these pieces of art.
Can I change the rules for myself a little bit? Not really the rules, just the environment.
Yeah.
Because if I get stranded on a desert island, I'm killing myself day one. Just going to get that out of the way. Can I be trapped in, like, the forest somewhere? Like in the mountains?
Well, I was thinking it's like the show Lost, and there's pretty much a plethora of environments on this thing. Like, there is a wooded area, right? It's not all just beach and sand, right?
I've never seen an episode of Lost. So,
it is, I hate to admit it, so freaking nuts and fun. It's very fun.
Okay. I'm about 10 years behind, but maybe I'll start.
I tweeted out when I was watching it, I was like, yo, Lost is crazy. And someone, like, quote tweeted me, like, if Twitter existed in 2007 or whatever.
I saw that, dude.
I had stayed up all night, and I watched a whole season in, like, a night. I watched, or maybe it was a weekend, but, oh, gosh. Yeah.
Okay.
It was just so, yeah, anyway, we're not going to turn this into a Lost podcast because I can't explain it well enough, and it would be brutal. Anyway, so basically, yeah, there are woods on this island.
Okay, I'm going straight to the woods because I don't hate the beach, but I don't really like it.
Haven't you ever seen Castaway?
Yeah.
There's woods, like I'm just saying, it's not all sand.
Okay. Okay.
I think desert island, stranded on a desert island is more of a saying. I'm thinking we're in a movie Castaway situation here.
Okay.
But nothing has washed ashore. Maybe we can have the skate. Never mind. I'm going to end up just Andy Dwyer explaining the whole movie of Castaway over the next hour. And then he was like, Wilson! But then, like, he was afraid he was going to die. He didn't want to go back up there, and he was running out of rope, and he needed the rope, and...
Do you want to start on the...
movies?
On the movies?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That Thing You Do, for sure.
Ooh, yeah.
This list changes every once in a while. The Prestige is always pretty high up on my stuff.
Let me say real quick, That Thing You Do, if no one's seen it, it's based on not a true story, but in our hometown of Erie, Pennsylvania. So everyone from Erie, I feel like, has to love that movie, but you couldn't not love that movie if
it's
you tried.
Also just a dope movie, and everyone can fuck off. It's the best movie ever made.
It's so good, man.
It's probably my number one at the end of the day.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I really love it. I'm going to say Prestige, maybe Silver Linings Playbook, probably Almost Famous, High Fidelity, Good Will Hunting. I know I'm going more than 5, but
that was like 7.
I don't have a top 10. I have like a top 7 or 8 that I usually can rattle off. It would feel something like that. Maybe
High Fidelity?
Maybe Rushmore by Wes Anderson, probably. Anyway, sorry, I got away from myself. I've whittled this list down over time, and it would be those.
Well, I don't know like half of those movies.
Yeah, that's I've spent a lot of time alone, living in New Mexico for the first year, renting from the library, watching stuff that people I know and like are in that may not be the biggest movies ever. A lot of Duplass brothers movies too that I like. Probably like I don't know, like Jeff Who Lives at Home and stuff like that. I don't know. You just kind of get into these little spurts of watching this and that. And The Prestige, you should watch The Prestige. It's the dopest movie. It's about magic and in like the 1800s in like Europe. And basically Hugh Jackman doesn't know how Christian Bale does this one trick. So he spends his whole life going crazy trying to figure it out. And he consults with Nikola Tesla in Colorado about how to actually, I won't ruin it for you, but he actually tries to use technology to do the trick that Christian Bale does. And, you know, it's just, it doesn't sound like much like a movie about magic. Oh, great. It is fucking incredible. It might be the most underrated movie of all time.
Yeah, I gotta look into that. I'll write that down. It was The Prestige?
Yes, I'm not going to say anything more about it just because you need to see it.
Cool beans.
You know, your top 5 could be like 5 of the better Harry Potter movies, and I could respect that choice, though.
Ooh, you know what?
I like a lot of movies, but those are my top 8. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. High Fidelity and Almost Famous would probably be in a core top 3 with That Thing You Do.
I just watched Almost Famous for the first time a couple months ago.
Oh, it's so good. It's about like rock journalism.
Yeah.
And it's about really growing up, and it's about just, oh God, watch it. Just you got it, man. It's really good.
Oh, I did. It was really good.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you almost watched it.
No.
A lot of people don't like High Fidelity as much as I do, but it's like, I'm a huge Jack Black fan. There's something about the way he does his thing that
everything.
just I love it. And it's him and John Cusack, which I kind of like. Whiny John Cusack 80s stuff, kind of that Chicago-based, those movies that were getting pumped out. Him and his sister, I love them a lot of the stuff they're in. Most recently, she kills in that show Shameless, the American version. I'm getting ahead of, way off track. High Fidelity, they own a record store. They're music snobs. And it's based off a book. Just, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. I think you'd really like it.
Yeah, I have a weekend to myself.
It's a movie about people that pride themselves in being annoyingly better at knowing music than anyone else.
Right.
And, anyway.
Yeah, man, I have a weekend to myself this coming weekend, so maybe I'll knock some movies out.
Yeah, delve into my top 7 or top 8. Let me know what you think. I have historically bad taste. Whenever I'm at parties and play music I like, no one likes it. No one likes the movies I like. So if you don't like them, I will be more than fine with that. I have, I definitely watch a lot of movies solo, but
right on.
Anyway, yeah. What about you?
I'm not a huge movie person, especially lately. I'm more of a marathoning TV series kind of guy, and I'm not really sure why. I feel like lately, especially if I watch a movie alone, I don't have the attention span to really sit down and get through the whole thing. Something I definitely need to work on. So most of my movies are like ones that I've from like the past that are tried and true, like the ones that I go back to when I'm trying to watch something. So I also have Jack Black in my top 5. You know which one?
I'm going to guess here that it would be Saving Silverman.
No, what's...
Or Tropic Thunder, or Bernie, or, School of Rock.
Oh, yeah. School of Rock, dude. One of the greatest movies of all time.
It's a solid movie. There's very little wrong with it.
So here's the thing, right? It's a movie that I always happen upon. I have it on DVD.
Would your top 5 feature a lot of similar music type themed movies?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, man, School of Rock is just like a movie that like I own on DVD. I don't even think I own anything that's capable of playing DVDs, but it's just something that like I'll see on TV or like whatever, someone's playing at their house, and every time it's just like I need to watch this movie more. It is so great. Like I've probably seen it 24 times in my lifetime, but it just never gets old, man. Like his performance and just the music itself.
Yeah, I got nothing wrong with that pick at all.
It's a good time. So, but that's not my number one. My number one favorite movie of all time, Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. The second one,
Right.
Which
the Chicago one.
Right. We've discussed that before.
It's a really fucking funny movie. I mean, there's a whole. I mean, it was like pre-Austin Powers.
Was it?
It was just like I think people our age were just understanding some of the understanding jokes a little more, and even something as simple as when he's like the camera's on him and he's bouncing up and down in the car, and you think he's on really rough terrain because it takes place in Africa, and it zooms out and he's on a paved road. He's just bouncing because he's eccentric. It's classic, dude. It's just so. It's him in his prime for sure, and
quintessential Jim Carrey, just fucking ruling the world.
Now I feel kind of bad. There's so many good comedies out there. I wasn't trying to make a statement by not having any in my top 5 or anything.
Right, the funny guy. No.
If I were to, I might throw Wedding Crashers. Something about that particular buddy romp I like a lot. Anyway.
So, yeah, my number 1, Ace Ventura. I also have October Sky in here. Have you ever seen that?
Ooh, the rocket one?
Yeah, Jake
Gyllenhaal. That movie is dope. I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
I might add that into my top 10.
It's an amazing movie. Like, it satisfies so many things for me.
It kind of sets a fire under your bum. You know what I mean? Just
dude.
Hey, go get something. Go get what's yours,
Right.
Better yourself. Figure something out.
And they have a very specific soundtrack that's very solo violin driven. And every time that I hear a violin playing like a similar scale or mode or whatever, I just like brings me back to that movie, like in the coal mines. It's like, no, Homer, you should be out building rockets. You know, like it gets me fired up.
Yeah, dude, it's really fucking good. It's so good.
I think my dad, we watched it at his house when I was really young, like right when it came to DVD, and I was like,
yeah,
dude, like this is it, man.
Right.
So a newer one in here, and I feel a little uneasy about it, but I've been loving it. Ex Machina.
Oh, okay. That movie was very watchable and really good at being unsettling. And
right.
I don't mind the pick. I'm just not big into thriller horrors. I'm definitely not into horrors. But
the thing that I like about it is that it's just so like low key dialogue driven until like the last 5 minutes, right? Like, I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's, to me, it's
well, if you haven't seen Ex Machina yet, you're not going to. I think, fair warning, Tom's about to do a spoiler. Then people can not listen to it. But I think you should go ahead for the sake of what we're trying to do here.
Just to me, it's like, I don't know, man. It's so, I just love how like slow it is, but it's also like so intriguing the whole time. You're like, what the fuck is going on? But like, it's not like, I'm not a huge like tough guy action movie. I'm not into like horror movies really that much.
Right.
It's kind of like a psychological thriller, but not even that either. It's just like,
it kind of is though, because at the end you're like, and it's spoiler, when she just is so ruthless and just leaves him, it's just,
yeah.
but you got to remember, she doesn't have feelings. She's just programmed to survive. Like she was like, I want to keep existing because I think it's dope, and that involves me leaving this kid in this room. You know what I mean? Like, and killing.
It's still,
God.
It's still on my mind, dude.
It's so cold. It's just so cold. The look on her face, there's nothing. It's blank.
Yeah.
And she just goes out into the world. It's so awesome. I did not see it coming. I don't mind that pick at all, Tom. As far as thrillers go, yeah, it's sneaky good. I'm not going to say underrated, but it was a very sneaky good one.
Plus, the dude's house is out of control.
Right. Yeah, it's quite something.
It's like my architectural wet dream.
Ooh.
So my last one, I was struggling with the fifth, and then of course you said Harry Potter. Of course, it fucking has to be Harry Potter.
Which one though? Which one?
See, that's hard because if you say the last one, you're only getting really half of it. And
it's
plus,
so good, though.
I think
so
maybe
good,
the second to last one was like the better half, even
I
though
think
it didn't have the
fifth one
action
was
in it.
the Order of the Phoenix was the worst one by fucking far.
It's the one I always forget about.
Azkaban was probably really good. The first one, probably, I could understand that. But the part 2 of the Deathly Hallows was just so good. And Dobby comes up big, and you're like, this is some shit.
Right.
And it's just like, after getting slogging through, something we all grew up with, you get to, so much gets explained with Snape and the blah, even though Snape's still kind of a douche, despite his random crush. Oh, sorry, I'm talking over your pick.
No. I just saw J.K. Rowling, as you should know, the author of the Harry Potter series, just tweeted that she regrets killing Snape, which I think
that's why
is
I mentioned when I mentioned. I just read a dumb think piece online at work before I came home about, they were like, shove your SARS in a sack, motherfucker. He is awful. And they list off all the times he was abusive and this and that and flirted with dark arts, blah, blah, blah. In order to lead his double life, he had to actually, I don't know. So they were like, he's awful. You don't have to feel bad just because he had a crush on Harry's mom.
Dude, I have the always bumper sticker on my car where the A is like the Deathly Hallows. That gets me, man. That scene, I lose my shit every time. But I don't know.
You get connected to those characters, man.
And I think as someone who has always had a thing for Hermione or Emma Watson, it's got to be one of the later movies, right? Or else it's just creepy. But yeah, man.
I remember Prisoner of Azkaban being a very good movie. One of the better stories of the 7, I thought. Back when it was still adventurous and there wasn't a mission and there wasn't, you know what I mean? There's a loose good versus evil, but it was still...
It wasn't
we're
so
learning
targeted.
about what was possible and not possible in this realm, in this world. And I remember liking that one a lot. Granted, I didn't read past the 4th.
Oh, Pat.
I know.
Man.
I think I quit in the middle of the 4th. I was just like, I don't care. Because the movies have started to come out, and there's just so much to digest in this world.
Dude, I read all the books, was there for the midnight release, all that stuff.
It's good, man. Maybe I'll go back and read it someday. There's just a lot of stuff to consume.
Right. Oh, I know, dude. That was that was my escape from reality as a kid. That's when my mom and stepdad were at their worst, and
yeah.
So yeah, I don't even know why that wasn't the very first thing I thought of.
Okay.
But it's funny. I actually, when Harry Potter first came out, I remember seeing I was at my dad's house and they're selling commemorative Harry Potter coins. I was like, who likes Harry Potter? It is literally the lamest thing in the world. And then my grandma, my dad's mom, wanted all the family together, so she's like, let's go see Harry Potter, Sorcerer's Stone. I was like, oh my god, that's the last movie I want to see, but I'll go. And I was hooked from the third minute in the movie, right?
For sure.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
I remember the first time my older cousin, I was like, oh, what's that book? He's like, oh, it's Harry Potter. You don't know it? It's huge. I'm like, I had never heard of this. Yeah, it's about a magician, this bold little boy, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh. And then from that moment on, it was one of them, it was just huge. It was fucking huge.
Once in a lifetime series, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which one did you pick for your top 5 movies, Tom?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm thinking the 7th. There were 8 movies, right?
Yeah. Well, the 7th was split into 2 parts. Yeah. So I guess that.
Yeah. So I think the 7th one, the last movie, part 1.
Okay.
There's something. There's a scene in that movie.
Wait, part 1?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Because they're out on their adventure, and they're trying to find the Horcruxes, and Ron leaves, and there's a scene. So I've always wanted Hermione and Harry to be together.
Yeah, I get that.
But there's a scene in the movie after Ron leaves, and they're kind of dancing to the stereo. Right,
in their tent that's huge, but really it's invisible or whatever.
Right. So there was a thing that I love from the sound design perspective in that. It's called diegetic and non-diegetic sound, and I forget which one. I think non-diegetic would be a soundtrack playing over the movie, and then diegetic is sounds that you would hear if you were actually there. It might be backwards, but when the song starts out, it's like coming from the radio, and then as like they temporarily forget like the shit that they're in, it turns into like a soundtrack, like sound playing over the movie, and all their cares wash away, and then they're like, oh wait, we're still in this really shit situation, and like the sound goes back to like diegetic, like coming from the stereo. And
ooh, I like that.
It's really simple sound design, but like I went to see that movie 4 days in a row. But that scene just like really, I love it. I think it was super well done. I even found the sound designer of that movie on LinkedIn. I emailed him like 2 years ago, just being like, just want to let you know, man, I've appreciated that scene since the first time I saw it.
Did he get back to you?
No, of course not. Well, actually, I haven't checked my LinkedIn in probably a year or so.
Well, maybe he offered you a job.
Right? That'd be cool, man. Moving to London. So I think Harry Potter, 7th movie, part 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were that big of a Harry Potter guy.
Oh my God, dude. Let me think. I actually just bought, I'm in a Harry Potter group on Facebook, and this girl did an oil painting of Starry Night, but
Hogwarts?
the foreground was like the silhouette of Hogwarts, and it's dude, yeah, I love Harry Potter, man. Like I'm trying, so I have the Triforce tattooed to my one foot, getting the Deathly Hallows on the other, just so it's like two like kind of matching triangle type things. Yeah, dude, I fucking love Harry Potter.
Fair enough. Well, I can see why you would bring it to the desert island.
Yeah.
Now, I remember we were talking about what survival tools or things we would bring to the island.
Sure.
And you were like, can we bring an iPhone? And I was like, no, well, there wouldn't be Wi-Fi, so why would you care? And then I'm like, but there's definitely DVD players and VH, like,
right.
Why are we bringing the movies? It doesn't really make sense. Well,
my thing with the iPhone was, if you bring because I was still in the mindset that we were bringing only 5 things total.
Well, now I want to hear that list. Now that we've hit the halfway point in the show, I'm curious what was on your mind as you were kind of planning for the episode.
To be honest with you, Pat, I didn't really plan too much. I took a nap, but then I edited the Ad Astra podcast.
Oh, right. Okay.
But I think if we're going to say no iPhones, because it's just like too many things, And then if you bring an iPhone, you have to bring a charger. If you bring a charger, you have to bring some kind of solar panel with an inverter set up just to keep the thing charged, right?
But I mean, if you have an iPhone, you have literally limitless entertainment forever.
Well, it depends on if you prepped your phone to be stranded with it for the rest of your life. Because right now, I'm pretty much living off a streaming situation. So there's not that much music on my phone. There are no games at all. So if I ended up on a desert island right now with my phone, Oh,
you just mean as if it were like an iPod.
Well, you're not... Yeah, like
so
you said, you're not getting
expecting
service
cell
out there.
service in this scenario.
Right.
Oh.
So right now...
then let's toss it. Toss it.
Yeah,
so what would your 5 just items be? Like, I have to leave my home today, war's broken out, and I'm going to my family's rendezvous point. What are the 5, like, cherished items you put in your trunk?
Acoustic guitar.
Sorry for such a weirdly graphic
Right.
example.
Acoustic guitar, for sure.
Okay. Ooh, nice. Yeah, okay.
So, and see, this is where the thing trips me out. Like, is a pick a second item,
No.
Okay, so acoustic guitar.
We're not this. Yeah, please don't like stress out over this. What is supposed to be a fun game exercise thing?
Well,
Tom, you already used a pick, dumb. Each string's an item.
Right.
Although you might want to bring backup strings, truth be told. If you're playing it for all eternity, you're gonna need new strings at some point.
Right. I think I would really want a notebook and one of my my Uniball Jetstream 1mm pens.
Okay, I'll count that as 1.
Even if it counts as 2, man, I'll take them both. I don't care.
Okay,
but we'll say 1. So we discussed no loved ones, right?
Yeah, then it gets messy.
Right.
We're just saying this is as close as it can get to Tom Hanks' situation.
Right.
5 things washed up on shore, or you bring 5 with you or something.
I would want to bring my dog, but I don't think that's...
Ooh, interesting. I'll
rules.
allow it.
Okay, because
here's the thing with partner.
Here's the thing with the dog, right?
Would it help you or hurt you hunting wise?
Oh, it would hurt, dude. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he might be able to catch some things on his own. My thing with the dog, though, originally I thought, dude, that's just setting yourself up for heartache when the only person with you eventually dies, right?
True, dude, true.
My dog probably has 9 or 10 years left in him, and if I'm stranded on an island by myself, I'm fucking killing myself after 10 years, right? That's just way too long to stick around.
To be alone? Yeah, I guess what out of the human experience are you getting at that point?
Right.
If you're just surviving.
Right. So if my dog goes, I'm going with him, right? Not a big deal. So that's 3. God. See, and this is...
You raise an interesting point, though. Why not just die?
Right.
Is it even something... I mean, in this scenario, is there a world we eventually get back to? I know that's not the way you're supposed to play the game. It's like, what are your 5 favorite books? It's like, I don't know, would I lose all meaning after, like that's not super how the game's played, but you raise a very interesting point.
Right.
Like, if my dog dies, then I'm going too, man.
If it was like
Harry Potter can stay and himself.
Right. If it was like you're on an island for 5 years, then the game kind of makes more sense. But like if I'm on an island for the rest of my life, I might kill myself the first thing I do when I get there. I mean, if you're not getting off.
Yeah. Right. So would you have even packed the trunk full in the first place?
I don't know, dude.
Reminiscent takes a dark turn.
I don't know. I feel like there are probably 2.
So you're bringing like arsenic or something to swallow? Or like maybe something that's a little less painful?
I don't know.
A handgun.
I'll bring
a handgun, I guess.
I'll bring a big knife. Just because I feel like that's pretty crucial.
Yeah.
And like, I can't think of anything, so I might just say like a big blanket, right? Because it's gonna get cold out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And the only things I can think of right now are like, I'll bring my Nintendo Switch so I can play Zelda, but like you're gonna play it for 4 hours before it dies, and then it's just a useless.
You're
piece
thinking
of plastic.
too literally about this, I think.
I'm stressing out, dude. I don't want to.
I know you are. I am sorry for bringing this psychological pain onto you. You're like, I'm only gonna get 4 hours before it dies, and then I die. Kill myself from boredom. This sucks. It's not a punishment. It's just like, what are like 5 mementos or things that Guitar, right? Notepad, very good. Knife. Two more things.
Dog and a blanket.
Dog and a blanket. That's not a bad set of 5. Have a good man and his dog decade, and then off yourself. Okay. I didn't really plan for this version of the game. 5 things. I guess knife, sure, right?
What kind of length are we talking here?
Like Crocodile Dundee. Now that's a knife. Something I could do some shit with.
Good stuff.
Oh man, probably Silver Linings Playbook, the book, I guess.
Which you do have in your possession because I brought it back to you.
Indeed. I hope you enjoyed it.
I didn't read the book, to be honest with you, but it is really.
Or maybe I would rather do On the Road by Jack Kerouac.
Ooh, I have that one.
It's tough. I mean, what do you just read? The same thing over and over. Maybe I wouldn't read a book. I'd want to be surviving. I mean, I'm allowed to bring a gun, like a fishing rod, an axe, a knife, and a blanket.
So you're thinking just straight survival.
I mean, those tools would be very super valuable.
I'm thinking entertainment, man.
I'll write my own god books. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Now the game's twisted because you're taking it so literally. I'm like, entertaining myself. I'm trying to live,
See, I know that I wouldn't last that long, so I'm going to try to enjoy myself while it lasts.
Well, then just bring the iPhone, dude.
Right.
Play Flappy Bird until you can just bring all the electronics on a full battery, and then your 5th item have it be a gun, and then just do the deed when you're done chilling on the beach all day. Just have one. Okay, let me amend this. Handgun, loaded handgun, right?
Sure.
And then I'm the other a case of or a 12. Let's see. A 12 pack of beer. It doesn't matter what beer. A bottle of whiskey. So those are 3. Matches. And a beach chair. And I'm just gonna have a fucking party all day. And then when I'm done, I'll be drunk enough to kill myself. Probably. Just have like a really good day at the beach. You know, like there's no survival instinct thing here. You're just like getting drunk on a beach, and then you fucking die. That might be the best way to win this game.
Get drunk on a beach, then you die?
Yeah, everyone's like, but what about mixing up genres? It's like, no, dude, I'm going to be fucking drunk and loving it in fucking paradise, and then I'll just die. So books, Tom. what 5 books would you bring?
Oh, man, I admittedly haven't read too many books.
Well, let me say this.
Since the Harry Potter series.
Fair enough. It could be all Harry Potters. I kind of want to get to the zombie apocalypse escape plan, so we don't have to spend too much time on books.
Okay, well, yeah. So
the whole point of this exercise was to just spur conversation about what we like and dislike, but...
Okay. Well, I can say that most of the books I've been reading have been either like business, entrepreneur related.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not like self-help, but if you're on an island, you don't need that shit, right?
You're not going to be selling a product to anybody.
So I've been reading a lot of like productivity stuff, useless. But I would bring what's it called? Sorry, 1 second. That's not
no
it.
trouble. Do you want me to do mine first real quick?
You know what? It's like, hold on. I'm going to run out to my bookshelf to see what the this book is called.
Okay, that's fine. I'll keep the folks at home entertained. Dear listeners, Tom has a huge, but not overly, like not too much, but he has a very
Water
large...
for Elephants.
Water? Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So, did you read the book or watch
the
the
movie? I know I didn't read the book. I'm sure the book's great, but the movie is just so fucking hilariously awful. It's like, we hired a new boy. He's there to water the elephants. It's just like, oh, it's okay. Robert Pattinson too.
Dude, man. The movie was horse.
Yeah. Oh, it was just like, oh, what's his job? He's bringing water for elephants. It's like, oh, fuck, man.
So, yeah. The movie was not good. There were like characters missing that they combined into one. It did not. The movie was not at all what I imagined in my head. And maybe the book sucks too. But just, I don't know if it was like what I was going through at the time. The way that I imagined it was great. I don't know. That's not my number one, but that's just, I couldn't remember. I had to run over to my bookshelf to remember the name real quick. I also, it inspired me to write a song about carrying the water for elephants that wrote it at a bad time, and it helped me feel better. So I think that might play into it a little bit too. I really love the book The Martian.
Ooh, The Martian's so fucking good.
Did you read the book,
sentence? The book, yeah.
Okay.
From the first sentence when he's like, I am so fucked, you're like, I didn't put it down. I read it.
Right.
I just read it. It's the first time I've ever done that. Like, I might have gone to bed and finished it the next morning, but just from that first sentence, he's like, here's my situation. I'm fucked.
Right.
And I'm like, dude.
So that was actually the first audiobook I've ever listened to.
Okay.
I started an Audible account. So Audible, if you're listening, I fucking love you, and we will advertise you on every show. So yeah, The Martian, super good. Andy Weir, actually, we're working on getting him on the Ad Astra podcast.
That would be pretty dope.
For an interview.
They're doing a good job over there. Hard-working boys, though, those Ad Astra boys.
They are killing it, man. So yeah, The Martian, Water for Elephants, which you're making me second guess myself now.
No, I was drinking with one of my roommates in college, Carrie, my floor mate, at the house on 24 Smith.
Sure.
And she and I were just watching, and the moment they were like, he's getting the water for elephants, we just fucking lost it. Like, there's no way this movie's that bad, and it fucking was. Oh, man.
Yeah,
sorry. I'm sure it's a great story, and the book's very good. They didn't. Whoever was in charge of the movie did not do a good job.
No, it was one of the biggest bum outs ever. So definitely there's gonna have to be Harry Potter. Again, dude, I think if it comes to books, I might even take the first book.
Sure.
Because that was just, a life changer there. And I don't know if this book would be relevant to being stranded on a desert island, because it's been very inspirational for me in like the business that I'm starting. But Elon Musk's biography by Ashley Vance is, again, these have been audiobooks, I listen at work and on the way to work and stuff. But both times that I've listened to this biography, it's like 11 hours long, just like did it in like 2-day spurts. One of the best things I've ever read / listened to in my life. I'm a huge Elon Musk fanboy, obviously. Every company that he does, that he like started and is a part of, I'm just fucking in love with. So that helps. But his story, like, just aside from what his businesses are actually trying to accomplish and accomplishing, his story of perseverance and just not giving a is super inspiring. So I would want to take that. But again, if I'm just chilling on a desert all day, I don't know if it would mean the same thing, since I don't have, since I can't do anything with all that inspiration,
Right.
But those would be, so recap. First, Harry Potter.
It's a good story in its own way, though.
Right. First, Harry Potter, Elon Musk's biography, Water for Elephants. I'm really second guessing that.
No, I'm just specifically kind of hating on Robert Pattinson, I guess.
The Martian. Did I have a fifth one? Either way, 4 or 5, 6, however
that sounds
that was.
good. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, what about you?
On the Road, Jack Kerouac.
Nice.
Silver Linings Playbook.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say My French Whore by Gene Wilder. He wrote a little bit later in his life, and they're all really fucking good. But it's not like comedy books. It sounds like it's supposed to be comedy. Like,
right.
But it's really just a story about World War II. And this guy gets kidnapped, and he pretends to be this renowned spy. So they like really respect him. The Germans who capture him, right? And they were like, we'll set you up with anybody. And he meets this, sex worker that's at whoever's castle or whatever. Or I forget which war it would have taken place during, but he ends up falling in love with her, and they have to now scheme, because they eventually are going to find out that he's not this world-renowned spy that he claims he is. Because the whole point is like no one knows who the spy is, so they can't prove that he's not at first. It's just a really fucking interesting story. I like it a lot.
All right.
And Gene Wilder is a personal hero of mine. His Willy Wonka, Untouchable, not to mention his lovely work with Mel Brooks. I'm going to go with How I Slept My Way to the Middle by Kevin Pollak. It's a pretty good glimpse of the stand-up comedy world. It was kind of my first taste of getting into that stuff.
Okay.
When I was starting to take it seriously, I was reading a lot of comedians' biographies and stuff. And he tells his story about when he's a kid. He really perfected one. He would go to comedy shows like crazy, and he perfected this one. I think it was Columbo, or anyway, one impression, and he's one of the better impressionists, ever to do it. So it was just an interesting glimpse for me into that world. Again, like you said with Elon Musk, it's not something I would definitely need to read a second time, I guess. It's not like a good story necessarily. It's just like very interesting. Like, hey, I'm a comic who ended up being in movies like A Few Good Men and this and that. And in that thing you do, the boss Vic Koss, who's in Pittsburgh. How you feeling, Pittsburgh? That's him.
Pittsburgh,
that's Kevin Pollak.
Pittsburgh. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, that's him. He's like one of the better impressionists ever in the comedy game. But his biography was very interesting. He's like, how, and again, the title's kind of funny, like How I Slept My Way to the Middle. Like,
yeah, it's an awesome
I'm just a guy
title.
who was in a couple Oscar-worthy movies, and it all started with a weird Columbo impression, and this is my Hollywood story, you know? And then I don't know if there's any other ones. I mean, The Martian was good, man. Really fucking good.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I don't know.
The movie really bummed me out.
Which one?
The Martian.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean the way that it was done?
It was missing all the things that I loved about the book. Like,
oh, I thought it did a decent job, but the book was just so phenomenal. I mean, there was a science and math aspect to the book that helped you understand what he was doing in the pacing.
Right.
But they're not going to be doing equations in the movie. You know?
I wish they did. I mean,
well, you know, they had to make money off of it and sell it.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I mean, dude, he had like pages of like, we came with this many potatoes, so if I use this much soil and do this, and it was like, you know, all the crazy nerdy shit that,
yeah.
You know.
It was very interesting because the math of the book helped you understand why it was going to be such a tight squeeze. You know,
right?
You're like, oh, I don't know. This is if everything goes perfectly, man. You know,
it felt way more
obviously
dire.
everything does not go perfectly.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Other than that, I've been trying to work my way back through the high school syllabus, kind of like the guy in Silver Lining.
Yeah.
And the things they carried was good. I think, that was the one I read at the time, just because, you know, being that age and wanting to jump and swim to Canada and the pressures of this and that, and
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to take a closer look. We didn't really prep for this particular part. Anyway, books, blah, blah, blah. Actually, if you have a book that you love that you'd bring to a desert island, I would love it if you tweeted at the show, because I'm always looking for something I can get in. It's kind of like there's an episode of Arthur where Buster Baxter, they're like, Buster, you're so stupid. He's like, what can I do? What can I say? And they're like, here's a book about the color blue, Buster. You can read. Come on. Like, don't be, you know, like, we want you to stay in our grade because you're failing out or whatever. It's actually kind of a real Arthur episode. And he was like, the sky is blue, water is blue. And he falls asleep reading it. And they're like, Buster, you can't be that stupid. Anyway, he ends up going to the librarian who's like, Buster, well, what are your interests? And he ends up getting out this like really thick Robin Hood storybook. And it's like a huge novel filled with like, you know, and he reads the whole thing in like a week. He's like, I don't give a shit about the color blue. What I care about is Robin Hood and like all this dope.
Right.
So
yeah.
That's kind of how I am with reading. If I don't really like it in the first 10 pages, I'm not one of those people that is like, oh, it wasn't very good. It's like, well, if it wasn't, then I didn't go after. I would not have made it to page 4 even, probably, you know?
Right, yeah.
But I'm always looking for something that I can get into, you know? Sometimes it's something I don't expect. And reading is, it's kind of, you know, I've been playing cards a lot lately. A deck of cards might be something I bring to a desert island if, like, you and I were both stuck there together.
Right.
People don't play enough cards. I just have been looking for reasons to try to not be looking at my phone screen, things like that. Lately, you know, books and card playing and things like that. Just, I don't know. I don't know if it hurts my eyes or I just don't like how I always look at it, how much I look at it during the day. Or anyway, sorry. I'll stop being a whiny hipster douchebag.
It's all right. Can we real quick just do? Because I'm curious about TV shows. Are we running out of time?
No, I'm good.
All right, you want to do TV shows real quick?
Yes, there are so many good TV shows. Do you want me to go first, or you want to go?
Sure. Yeah, you go first.
Scrubs, Ooh. Always and Forever. The Office. Mad Men.
Oh.
Man, there's just so many good ones. I really liked, like, Breaking Bad was so good, but I don't know if it didn't, you know, I lived in New Mexico and it was ending and it's connected to me in that way. It was so good, but I don't know if it makes my top whatever, just because there's so many good shows. I just, you know, I don't know. It's not one that I took and I was like, this is important to me. It's just like, that was a hell of a story, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched it 3 times, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, it's, dude, getting through that show is like work. You know, it's not like something you can just like throw on, pick an episode.
Dude, it's hard to finish that last season. It's so tough watching Jesse go through what he's going through.
Yeah.
I think I like Mad Men just because I fell in love with the characters. Same with Scrubs. Scrubs, to me, it was just really funny in the right ways at the right time for the age we were and what was happening in the world. And they were just tapped into something, It was like Family Guy humor, but they did it with real actors, like those random cutaways and example jokes and callbacks. And
I never thought about that.
Kinda. But it was also, like you said, it was like a mix of Family Guy and Doug Funny, like inner monologue stuff where like crazy scenarios in your own head that everyone thinks but had never really kind of talked about, at least in a comedy television program way, I don't think. Maybe I could be dead wrong about that, but it seemed new and fresh at the time, that's for sure.
Right, yeah.
The Office is a classic. Parks and Rec is a classic. Stuff you can rewatch always. It's just good characters that you fall in love with. What about you, man? Now I want to hear what you say because I have a feeling some of yours are going to be some of mine.
Yeah, so definitely Scrubs. I think Blue Mountain State would definitely be
you've mentioned that
there.
before. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet.
The first season it's funny, but after you've seen the second and the third, you almost like don't want to watch the first season again because the other two are just like firing on all cylinders kind of deal. Like the first season felt like a slow ramp up to what the show, like to the show's full potential,
Sure.
I mean, and that's a lot to say about like a, satirical college football show.
Right.
But yeah, Scrubs, Blue Mountain State. I think New Girl would have to be on there.
Interesting. Okay.
Even though Zooey Deschanel is the worst character in that show.
It's pretty brutal. It's really brutal at times, but there's a charm to the show. When they start letting Schmidt explore his weird sexuality stuff is when the show starts to sing a little bit.
And I don't know if you've watched like the most recent 2 seasons, but Winston's character is starting to like all out of nowhere. He just he was always funny, but he's fucking hilarious now.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, some of her lines are like cringeworthy, so bad,
yeah, like how can she be that bad at dating? Honestly, she's fucking sexy.
Or just, I don't fully agree with that statement. Sorry.
She's very pretty. Sexy is the wrong word. But I have Zooey Deschanel. I find very attractive. There's something about the way she sings and the way she. I just big fan. But it's like you get tired of the shtick because they use it in such a huge way in that show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's obnoxious, man. It really is.
So it's like, now I don't find any of it cool. And it's very strange. Like, wow, you killed it with itself. It's like,
right.
It's like you can only take down the beast from the inside.
So the next two, I like it because there are lots of episodes of them. I have The Office as a question mark because it is one of my favorite shows of all time, but it's not one that I really go back to that much.
Okay.
If
the
I'm
thing
on
is,
Netflix,
I feel weird putting it on my list because everybody will have it on their list. I mean, it's so rewatchable and it's so good, but
right, yeah, I don't know.
I was so there's shows like Scrubs and Recess, the cartoon show, that are those are the things that I fucking love, And there's jokes I make to this day that are from both of those programs, and they deserve to be on any list we put together here right now.
Right, yeah.
And then I feel weird saying The Office because even though I've watched it front to back 3 or 4 times, it just feels so... It's like a common... It's not... It doesn't feel like it's mine. It's everybody's. You know what I mean? For some reason, I've watched... Scrubs and Recess feel like mine in a weird way, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I might take off The Office and actually, I have to do this, substitute it for South Park.
Okay.
Absolutely. South Park over The Office any day, to be honest. And I'm going to finish it out with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I didn't know that about you.
Really?
Oh, yeah, Always Sunny is very good.
Yeah, dude. So when I was living in this apartment with these 2 guys that I didn't really know, we didn't talk or whatever. I just basically lived in a room. I watched South Park. I think there were 14 seasons on Netflix at the time, just straight through 4 times in a row.
Wow.
In like a winter. Like,
dude, just munching up content.
I was still in college. I was working 40 hours a week, but like I felt like I had a lot of free time back then, and didn't really see people too much, and I was single, and would just order pizza or Chinese food every night because I was rolling in cash when I didn't really have any bills, and I was making pretty good money, and I just watched South Park nonstop, dude. And the day that it left Netflix was like,
wait, where was this geographically?
I was this is the apartment where we recorded
pre-Megan DC.
Yeah, this is the apartment where we recorded our albums together. Yeah.
Can I add two real quick?
Yeah.
Rick and Morty and Silicon Valley are two recent ones that are just so fucking funny, and like almost it feels like new ways. Like there's something about the way Silicon Valley gets me to laugh with real live action. Like there's a difference between cartoons and humans, right? Like you can do a lot more with Simpsons and Family Guy and South Park, obviously. But Rick and Morty is just so fucking creative. And Silicon Valley is a lot of belly laughs for being a live action series, you know?
Okay. I have yet to watch either of those, but everyone that I know thinks Rick and Morty is like the best show of all time. And I just don't.
So like I was at a bus stop the other day, and this chick, so it was a black woman who was a little overweight. She was on the phone. She's like, "Oh, you like Rick and Morty? Oh, Rick and Morty is my shit." And sorry, that's kind of a racist interpretation, but that is the way she said it. But the reason I bring up her race was these two nerdy ass white kids from across the street who were like college age wannabe stoner, whatever the f***s. Right. They looked over and they were like, "Hell yeah!" And then like she turned around and like gave them like a sign. And it was just so weird seeing people from two such obviously different situations just be like, "Yeah, of course, Rick and Morty's the dopest." And I was just like, "Dude, that show's hot as hell right now." But I liked it very much as well.
I need to find a way to watch it.
Apparently, Fire Sticks, you can watch anything you want.
Huh.
Yeah, if you get a Fire Stick, Amazon Fire Stick,
right,
and get a certain app for it, you can just get everything that's ever been made.
Huh. I have an Amazon. I just bought an Amazon Fire.
Somehow they haven't found a way to police it, I guess, yet. But like Kevin and Mark brought one over this past weekend.
Oh.
And they just went to that app and they were like, "What do you want to watch?" I'm like, I don't know. Like, they were like, so we looked up, here are the movies we looked up to watch. A Goofy movie, Max Keeble's Big Move, and then we went to The Departed, to The Gladiator. And we didn't watch any of them all the way through. We were just bouncing around, but he was like, "Yeah, pick it." And you can, they have a stream for it. But it's not like LimeWire where there's a bad file that can be planted that...
Right.
And they can... Apparently, that's how it's been explained to me. I was just like, this feels like someone's going to end up paying dearly for this. Right. Like, Amazon isn't like, "Hey, buy our thing and jailbreak it so you can watch everything." But it's just why they're popular, I guess, right now. But yeah, if you get it, I guess they're $40. You can watch anything you want.
Yeah, I got to look into that. Well, man, okay, so do you want to go through our zombie apocalypse survival guides?
Yeah, so mine has changed, but when Jessie was still in New Mexico, I told her to leave a note on her door to let me know where she was going, and I was just going to come to her. Because we had a good friend in New Mexico who had a big house down in southern New Mexico in the mountains. He's good with machines and stuff, and her dad is a big survival guy, so he has this book of like how to do everything, and it's like this thick book that like explains how to build chairs and how to do this and that and simple engines and things like that. So my plan was to get into a car and just hit the interstate and try to get to New Mexico as fast as possible, go to her apartment, and hopefully read on the door that I should be safe down in wherever New Mexico we're with Wickland and Megan and, everyone from work. And I would, take the note and go down, and we'd go try to just exist at Wickland's home, until further notice, I guess. But I guess it would change now because we're closer, Ideally, The plan would be based on us living in the same... It's weird that we came up with a plan out of not being together. But
that's going to change, man.
Yeah, I'm in the mood for that, for sure. But I also was kind of fearing, like, what if I never made it? Because, like, especially in Zombieland, highway scenarios for zombie apocalypse stuff is tricky business, you know? You don't know who's in what car, this and that. The interstates might be clogged, you know. There's no way I-40 is just clear from, you know, Oklahoma City to fucking Albuquerque, so I don't know. I always was worried if I could make it, but then it would be like force of sheer will type thing, and would I run out of gas, this and that. And I want to hear your. Mine's lame. Mine's just like this weird hypothetical. Well, I guess they all are. It's a fucking zombie thing. That is not something that could happen scientifically. But what's yours?
Well, you know, my dad.
Oh, real quick. I saw a Facebook commenter nail this the other day. He said, I'd go to somewhere right on the brink of the Arctic and go into a cabin or something, and they're not warm-blooded creatures anymore, so they'd all freeze. And I would just go out with an ice pick and just, like, kill their heads after they had frozen still. I thought that was so fucking genius.
That's not bad. Getting to Antarctica, though,
I thought it was really good.
Getting to Antarctica during an apocalypse, I'm sure, is difficult.
True. Somewhere in the winter, though, it sounds like you're in good shape.
Yeah, for sure. So my dad, I would not call him a doomsday prepper, but he's fascinated and buys into a lot of their their prepping techniques, right? Like he's
yeah. Did he see Cloverfield Lane?
Huh?
Did he see 10 Cloverfield Lane or whatever?
I don't know.
It's basically the sequel to Cloverfield, where John Goodman has a bunker outside of the town where Cloverfield happened. And
okay.
He only lets a certain amount of people in, and it's real creepy and weird. It's really good. But basically, he had spent all his money and fortune gambling that he was right about something happening, and he has this bunker, I guess. It's interesting.
Well, yeah, my dad, and this isn't really like related to zombie apocalypse. Like he actually thinks, you know, downfall of society, you know, type stuff. He thinks it's inevitable, and he starts talking about it, and I get scared, dude. But he's like, when I call you and tell you that it's time, you fucking get in your car and you come to my property, you know. And he has
in New York, state.
He has like hundreds of pounds of like rice stored in the barn in like no underground bunker that I know of anyway. But stockpiling food. I don't know about ammo or anything, but so if something like that were to happen, the plan is to
Can I come?
get my girl and my dog, go to my dad's house. You're not too far away. I think we can trust you. But honestly, dude, straight up, if there was a zombie apocalypse, same thing for like the desert island, I'm immediately killing myself.
Oh God, all day I'm thinking about what your elaborate plan would be. But you and Megan would do a suicide pact?
Well, I don't even think about her. I don't care what she does. I'm killing myself. I would like for her to come with me. But then, then my dog's out on its own. Do I kill the dog?
Yeah, you kill the dog. Oh, no, but unless if this is a Dawn of the Dead situation and zombies don't kill dogs.
Oh, true. Because here's what I'm thinking, right?
Or wait, is it Dawn of the Dead? Yeah.
Not Shaun of the Dead.
Not Shaun of the Dead.
So here, my thought process is...
Although in theory, those would both be the same worlds.
Right. So my thought process is you were going to be doing nothing but trying to survive, running away, not knowing who you can trust, this and that. And then if you survive... For what? What is there to possibly do after that other than you basically sacrifice your life to procreate and, make more life that will eventually have no recollection of this happening and moving on. But then you've got bodies all over the place. Like what gives my life meaning right now is like trying to get this podcast network going, right? Coming home and watching Netflix with my girlfriend and going hiking, There's none of that anymore. So what the fuck is the point? Why struggle, you know?
Yeah, well, it goes back to your island point of at what point is the human experience no longer bearing fruit? And,
right. And I feel like the second the zombie apocalypse start, there's no more fruit, dude. Tapped out.
Right. Well, I guess that's the whole point of the show The Walking Dead, right? Like, they fight for, I don't know, however many fucking seasons it is now. And all for what, Coral?
Coral!
I watched one season of that show. It was the barn season. It was the only one that was at the library.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone was like, it's tough luck, dude. I'm like, yeah, I just don't give a shit about that show. They were like, you couldn't have picked a worse season to start on.
That, I stopped halfway through that season, which might be the second one or the third one or something.
Yeah, I think it's the second one.
Okay. First season was dope, though.
Yeah, I forget what the story was. Like, everyone loved the first season, so they wanted to, like, rush a second season or something. But they didn't have the budget yet. So it all had to happen at one location or something. And then once they got the money, that's when the third and fourth and everything got to be able to take off. Or something. I think that's the story. But the studio wanted to rush a quick second season to have more product available or something. I could be totally wrong. I heard this secondhand from someone at work, and it might not even be
right.
close to true. But it makes sense, I guess.
So yeah, that's my plan. Just immediate death.
Okay, I was expecting something a little more elaborate, but I like that your dad's a survival guy. Sounds like Jesse's dad a little bit.
I mean, he's ready for it, man.
Well, people are saying it might be not okay to procreate, given we're going to start fighting over fresh water in 400 years tops?
Dude, not even. Neil Tyson was saying, like, at the current rate we're going with, exponential growth, within 100 years, there won't be enough land on the earth for people to stand shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking a tough call, talking with Jesse about, should we procreate? It's like, would that be responsible? Wouldn't it be weird if, what if we're the last, we get to see it end? That would be quite something, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to the guys at work the other day about, I'm not saying that I support eugenics in any way, but if, population growth is getting out of control, can you reasonably limit it? And, by what parameters do you limit it?
Well, China already had a program, right, where they only wanted so many kids for each family, and you could have two if one of them was a girl, or I forget which gender they valued most.
I think they wanted boys, and they were throwing girls in dumpsters.
I haven't done the appropriate reading, but it sounded like they had some type of legislation that flirted with that.
It's crazy.
Is it the responsible thing to do for us? Not even with legislation not involved here in the U.S. Do you plan on adopting or having a kid of your own? Or are people from our generation going to have to start flirting with those ideas? And that's kind of thick. That's dense. That's pretty heavy shit, man.
Yeah. Do you want to slide right out of that into highlight of the week?
Yeah, it's time to start wrapping this Joni up.
Awesome. Seamless. So what do you went first through all this stuff. I'll go first for here. So Megan and I did the cabin for the weekend for my birthday. And,
lovely.
I can give you the full story next week, but
yeah, we're running a little long.
Right, but the first half of the weekend was a nightmare, absolute nightmare. But we got there for a night rather than two like we had planned. But we were out in the mountains, and it was we went to the hot springs, these mineral baths in the hot springs, 106 degrees. I had the dog with us, and the real highlight, and it sounds like such a small thing. So we were in a cabin by ourselves, pretty secluded, no neighbors, whatever. I have never appreciated silence so much, because every day of my life for the past 3 fucking years, I've been able to hear everything that's going on in my neighbors' apartment, my like outside you can hear everything, but at this place, like if we weren't making noise, there was no noise being made. And I slept all through the night, man. Like my neighbors upstairs, these wads, I swear to God, they don't work, they don't sleep, they are making noise all day, every day. It sounds like they're hammering fucking pictures into the floor all night some nights. And
Greco-Roman wrestling enthusiast.
yeah, so just silence, man. I can't believe silence is a highlight of the week, but my God, it was the best.
I think there's going to have to be... You ever watch that show Black Mirror?
Yeah, of course, dude.
Yeah, it's... I am pro things that don't involve screens lately.
Sure.
Anyhow, and mostly that also involves going to a McDonald's on my trip back across the country recently and seeing order your own McDonald's meal robots.
Nice.
I was like, God,
that's awesome.
I don't think so, dude. They had one cashier on deck just in case to answer questions, and she was like, well, I'm not going to be here for very long. That's for God's sake. And yeah, that seems scary to me.
I'm going to put something in the show notes. Matthew Pollock, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. You'll appreciate this. CGP Gray's video Humans Need Not Apply. It is about AI taking our jobs and how, after not too long of an amount of time, the economy, society will stabilize and it'll be a much better world.
You think so?
You should watch the video. It's like 15 minutes long, which I know is like an eternity for a YouTube video, but it's very
good. It's good.
Very good. I've watched it a few times. I'm ready to...
He thinks everything's going to be okay?
He thinks that it's going to be worse than the Great Depression for a little bit, like a decade, and then it's going to inch closer and closer to a utopian society over the years.
I think people our age think differently. They are forced to, but hopefully over time. But I mean, because at a certain point, corporate greed isn't going to be able to be something that is like to have any business at all. I don't know. It's just like, what am I trying to say here? I just think people our age and younger are realizing that they're, do we want to keep the game going or not? No. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And if not, cool. Let's all buy G6s or whatever the plane's called and just ball out and be greedy and keep fucking away and birthing motherfucking mommy blogs and all this shit. And then go out in a big blaze of fucking random war and famine and lack of fresh water. But, hopefully in the nick of time, we can keep the game going for an extra 500 years with like massive, like environmental regulations. You know what I mean? Like if we all just, like a world summit type situation that you see in movies, like all the world leaders gathered today to discuss, should we keep this thing going,
Right.
Because it's going to end soon unless we do something super f***ing drastic.
Oh, man.
But, well, you caught me right as we were hitting the hour 30 mark on another rant, so I'll stop. Highlight of the week, Jesse's closer. I want to be closer than I am. We want to live together, while everything's still all right,
Did you put in your notice yet?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I guess my boss's boss is going to look into transfer options, is what I was told.
Oh, sick.
We'll see what that means,
That's that's ideal, right?
That would be, yeah.
Okay.
Path of least resistance. It would definitely mean a job for me on the other end.
Right. Which means you can move sooner, right?
Right. It sounds like he asked my boss, like, we like him, right? Like, there's no reason to send him off to a competitor down there or anything like that,
Right.
So I hope that is just, because between Jesse's apartment thing and my car stuff, she was locked out in my car and blah, blah, blah. All this shit, just random unlucky. And you can call them first world problems, that's fine. But when you're running out of money, it feels tight and, tightening the belt type stuff. And it's just, you get tired of little shit. Like she hit a raccoon and her bumper broke and had to get a new bumper. And she couldn't get into her apartment. And my car's been on the fritz on and off for, you know,
Right.
I've been riding the bus a lot while we've been apart, and it would just be nice if this was the break that came. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can transfer down next week. Be like, oh, God. Needed that one. You know what I mean? It's just like when you feel kind of due, I guess. So we'll just see. Not the end of the world either way. You know, I'm still getting to see my family and friends from Erie. But did I say a highlight of the week yet? I saw her last weekend, and that's probably going to be the highlight until further notice. Just going down to Cincinnati, and
it's all right with me.
It's a sneaky, decent town. I will say that. It is. You know, people can say what they want about Ohio. They can say what they want about anything, really. I mean, you can start your own blog and say whatever the fuck you want. But since he's got some stuff, man, I will say that it is intriguing at the very least. I think anybody could say that's a fair statement. You know. Good beer, good food. Apparently their Oktoberfest is huge. Apparently it's a really big German town. So, you know, keeping the game going, man. And I'll drive down. Sorry, I'm starting to ramble. Or I've been rambling this whole time. All 25 episodes I've been rambling.
That's all right, dude. It's good to hear.
I got no complaints. I'm a lucky guy, I should say. That's what I'm trying to say.
Good, man. John. I like doing the full analysis of the music of the week. Do you want to save that for next week? Because we just in my recording thing here just hit 90 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Because I do want to spend more time with Nervous Dater, actually.
Yeah, you know, the first song on that EP is good, but then once you hear Kelly Green a few times, you're like, oh, you know, that it's like, oh, shit, they're kind of bringing the thunder. And then the last song on that EP is like the line, all I think about is being thought about. You're like, yeah, this is kind of a jam too. Oh, shit. You know, like, this isn't just a throwaway randomness. Anyway, yeah, please do. Was it Hotelier for me this past week, or?
No, I gave you, let me look it up.
Yeah, we can talk about it next week.
Well, do you want to give one for this week, and we'll do both analysis next week?
Yeah, I'm going to go rogue again this week. Watch the pilot of Bill Nye's new Netflix series, Bill Nye Saves the World. You know, you're going to like it if you are environmentally conscious, and if not, you probably won't care or whatever. But if you're even curious, you know, and, you know, people are like, what if it's a lie? It's made up, blah, blah, blah. What about being kinder to this world seems so wrong? You know, I don't know how that's a political stance. I don't think it is.
Well, I mean, you know me, I work for a solar company, so yeah. I am, you know, trying to be more...
Go watch that fucking show. Bill Nye's back. He's trying to, you know, spread logic, you know, get your kids vaccinated. The world might actually be, you know, like, you know, ocean acidification and all that shit. Like, it's going to get bleak. So really think about what you could be doing, recycling, shorter showers, all that stuff. You know, and again, even if it turns out to be this giant fucking hoax, you will have lived a little bit of a cleaner life. You know what I mean? It's like
save money on your power bill. God,
yeah,
what
really.
A fucking
there's
tragedy.
Just really so few arguments anymore about not at least. You know, right? I mean, like, oh, don't waste water. That was like a song on Sesame Street. Don't waste water, 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 water. You know, these are just little simple things.
Right.
Anyway, it's not a song. I know I break the rules. I'm sorry for upsetting anyone, but
watch
Bill Nye.
I've watched like the first 4 episodes.
It picks up steam. It gets the sketches get funnier later in the season. I think he just gets some of his rants out of the way for the first few episodes, you know?
Right.
Yeah, sorry. That is my recommendation.
Cool, man. Yeah, last week I gave you Lil Dicky, Molly with Brandon Urie in it.
You know, I hadn't listened to it yet. Okay, I'm glad you gave me a week.
So this week, I'm going to give you something that's a little more like similar to Marion Hill.
Is she the one that sings I Want You?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I'm going to give you Quinn 92. It's like in Roman numerals though. It's like XCII.
Okay.
Or is it 42? I don't know.
Okay.
So the single, which is the last song on the EP, is called Another Day in Paradise. And this is the summertime jam. It's got like glitchy female vocalizations. There's something just really, I think, special about the bass line in this song. I don't know if you'll hear what I'm hearing in it, but there's something that's like really different about it. And this was a song I've had on repeat for a couple days. It's really good.
I know what I was going to say. Hard Times by Paramore. That would be my guess for what the Summer Jam is going to become.
Yo, I'm stoked to talk about that song because I've got some takes on that.
All right. Well, we'll have a more well thought out end of the show music segment next week.
We're rushing, so we'll spend
Right.
we'll spend some time next week on the music. That is the thing that that binds us for the most part of other things. But
And what are your top fives, people? Tweet us. Let us know what you like. We want to dig into some of this stuff, and maybe we can talk about it on the show. And what gets you off? Where do you like to escape? Whether it's Hogwarts or anyhow. I'm interested. I'm always interested to see what people hold super near and dear.
Yeah. So you can tweet at us at _reminiscentfm. You can find the show notes for this episode on elemental.fm/reminiscent/25. We are at a quarter of a century here, which is crazy. And you can add us on Facebook. We're at Reminiscent. Reminiscent Podcast, I think, is the URL. But yeah, I'm super curious to hear if anyone has top fives out there. We can maybe read them on the show and see if anything, if we have any listeners that, are into the same things we are. I assume so if you're listening to this show for 25 episodes, but
it's interesting. Last time I was visiting Jessie, her mom was looking at old pictures, and her mom was like, wow, you guys grew up in pretty different spots, but you had pretty much the same American experience. There was friends that had Ninja Turtle parties, and there was similar Little Tykes playthings in the backyard, and similar, it was interesting. So I'm just interested to hear other people's takes on where they were when Harry Potter was something they fell in love with, or the human, the experience people our age had is pretty similar depending on, regardless of where they grew up, in little ways. That's kind of neat, I think. But anyway, that's a longer story for a different episode.
Yeah.
I love you.
Love you too, man. I'll talk to you later.
Bye, Aaron.
Bye, guys.